Today, we're diving into something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction: floating islands that literally eat methane.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a question that might sound a little crazy. You know how we think of lakes and ponds as these calm, beautiful, natural places? Well, what if I told you that secretly, a lot of them are becoming serious climate threats?
Now that sounds pretty scary, right? But here's the really cool part. The solution isn't some crazy, high-tech chemical concoction. It's actually an idea that's been hiding right under our noses, in nature itself this whole time.
All right, so first things first, let's unpack the problem. How does a beautiful, healthy pond turn into a methane factory? Well, it all kicks off with something a lot of us have probably seen, or maybe even smelled before.
It all starts with the harmful algae bloom, or HAB for short. See, when too many nutrients, think runoff from fertilizers, get into the water, algae just goes wild. And this isn't just an eyesore. It's toxic to fish, pets, and people. Then, when all that algae dies, it sinks to the bottom and starts to rot. That whole process sucks all the oxygen out of the deep water, creating what scientists call dead zones. And inside those dead zones, with no oxygen, a whole other team of microbes takes over. They feast on all that muck, and their waste product? Methane, a potent greenhouse gas. The lake has officially become a problem.
So, the big question is, how do you fix this without just making things worse by dumping a bunch of chemicals in? That's where this incredible technology comes into play: BioHaven Floating Islands. The idea is it's so simple and brilliant. A BioHaven floating island is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a man-made wetland that floats. You have plants growing on top of this mat, but the real magic is what's happening below. Their roots aren't in soil, they're just dangling down into the water, acting like a massive living filter.
So what's the secret sauce here? What makes this thing work so well? Well, the heart of the whole system is this special material, a matrix made from a dense web of tiny recycled plastic fibers. It's not just some styrofoam raft. This material is the key to everything.
And here's why that matrix is such a game changer. First, it gives the plants a sturdy place to grow. But way more importantly, those tiny fibers create an enormous amount of surface area. And all that surface area becomes the perfect home for something called biofilm, basically a sticky, living layer of good microbes. This biofilm is like a super filter. It grabs onto and eats up all the bad stuff in the water. We're talking excess nutrients, heavy metals, even oil and grease. It just cleans the water, naturally.
But, cleaning the water near the surface is only half the problem. Remember, the methane is being made way down at the bottom. To deal with that, the floating island needs a superpower. And that superpower is called the RAM system.
To really get how RAM works, you have to picture this microscopic turf war happening down in the mud. On one team, you've got the methane makers. They hate oxygen, they love sludge, and they pump out methane. But on the other team, you've got the methane eaters. These are the good guys. They need oxygen to live, and they literally eat methane for breakfast. The fate of the lake really just depends on which team gets the upper hand.
So the RAM system is designed to rig the game in favor of the methane eaters. It's this active system that uses a simple airlift to suck that oxygen-poor water up from the very bottom. As that water travels up, it gets churned around and filled with oxygen. And then, and this is the genius part, it sends that oxygen-rich water right back down to the bottom, exactly where it came from.
And that targeted approach is what makes it so incredibly effective. It's not trying to oxygenate the entire lake, just that problem zone at the bottom. This creates a sort of oxygenated cap that lets the good microbes chow down on the methane before it ever has a chance to bubble up to the surface. Plus, because it puts the water back at the same temperature, it doesn't mess with the lake's natural layers. It just creates the perfect little environment for nature's own methane eaters to thrive and win the war.
But get this, it doesn't stop there. The positive effects of these floating islands just ripple outwards, helping the entire ecosystem in ways you might not even expect.
I mean, the benefits just keep stacking up. These islands are amazing for managing stormwater. They create brand new habitats for fish, birds, and bees. They can even help stop shorelines from eroding. When you restore that natural balance, the water gets clear, you see fewer pests like mosquitoes, and of course, the whole area just looks better. You're doing all of this without a single drop of harsh chemicals. It's just a complete ecosystem restoration from the ground up.
So, this technology has been out in the world for over 20 years now, doing incredible work. But the team behind it, they're not done, not even close. So what could possibly be next?
If you look at their history, you can see the steady march of progress. Back in the 2000s, they laid the foundation with the basic BioHaven Islands. Then, in the 2010s, they added the superpower, the RAM systems that fight methane. But what they have planned for 2026? They're calling it a revolution.
And this is the part that completely blew my mind. The next evolution of this tech, RAM3, isn't for lakes or ponds. It has a totally new and unexpected target, the mining industry.
And the numbers they're projecting are just wild. RAM3 is designed to not only clean up the environmental side of placer mining, but to actually make it way more efficient. We're talking about possibly tripling the amount of gold recovered while also gaining a brand new ability to harvest valuable rare earth minerals and still cutting down on methane emissions. It's a complete flip of the script.
I think this quote from the company's CEO, Bruce Kania, really says it all. He says, "While it's unusual for gold mining to be beneficial to water and our environment, RAM3 breaks that mold. The resulting synergies exemplify how humanity can develop holistically in partnership with nature." And that really leaves you with a powerful thought, doesn't it? What if the greatest technological leaps forward aren't about controlling nature, but about finding smarter ways to work with it?